The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Martin Laurent aka Alan Laurent may say 5 chilling words to Tracy Abbott after his true identity is exposed. Martin will inevitably unleash his sinister side once Tracy's trap plays out, so let's talk about what's ahead on Lie and R. For starters, Diane Jenkins Abbott will have some concerns when she gets updates on Tracy's plan to dupe Alan. Since Tracy wants to know for sure which twin she's dealing with, she intends to look Alan in the eye and find out for herself. Although Diane won't think this is a good idea, Tracy should move forward with her trap anyway, one that involves making Alan believe her unconditional love will get them through anything. Tracy will make it seem like she's willing to look past any obstacle because she's fallen so hard. If all goes well, then Alan should reveal that he's actually Martin and that he's indeed behind the captivity drama at Havenhurst. Of course, Tracy won't actually plan to remain a couple with Martin once he confesses his crimes and deception. If Tracy's strategy succeeds, then Martin will eventually realize she played him. We're dealing with a dangerous sociopath here, so anything can happen once Martin's all riled up. There's a good chance Martin will turn against Tracy and make a disturbing prediction about what's going to happen next. That brings us to the 5 chilling words that Martin may say to Tracy when the time comes. You're going to regret this. Martin could show his true colors and leave Tracy worried once she loses control of the situation. It's easy to imagine Martin deciding that if he can't have Tracy, then no one can. Martin might try to wipe Tracy off the map once their relationship ends in disaster. However, Jack Abbott and Chance Chancellor surely won't be too far away when this Tracy and Martin confrontation goes down. Before Martin can do any serious damage, Tracy may get a last-minute rescue. Unfortunately, Martin could blow things up another way if he's holding Ashley Abbott hostage in Paris. Since Martin kept dropping hints about a surprise there, it's possible he'll ultimately reveal that Ashley is his new captive. Whatever the case, you can bet that Martin won't go down without a fight. Martin will definitely give Tracy something to be afraid of in the coming episodes, so stay tuned for all the wild news to come. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Tracy and Martin's showdown will come with some surprises. We'll have other terrific Young and the Restless spoilers, news, and updates, so make us your favorite Y and R hotspot. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Pulse Canvas. It's me, Jolie here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching, so let's dive into today's video. The Young and the Restless spoilers and updates tease that the rivalry between Billy Abbott and his brother Jack Abbott is on the verge of escalating dramatically. Billy is on the brink of making significant errors that could jeopardize his bond with Jack when the reality is revealed. Let's see what could happen when it is. Fans of Y and R are well aware that Jack and Billy have faced numerous challenges in their relationship over the years, but currently they are in a good place. Jack is convinced that Billy has made significant progress, leading him to express confidence in his brother and share hopeful forecasts for the future. However, Jack's support goes beyond mere words of encouragement. He has also made a substantial financial investment in Abbott Communications, demonstrating his commitment to Billy's success in multiple ways. This is why Jack holds onto the hope that Billy has turned his life around and is destined to achieve remarkable feats. Regrettably, Billy is an individual who consistently manages to derail his own success. It's hard to believe this tendency will change anytime soon, especially now that he's entangled in a clandestine arrangement with Aristotle Dumas. While Billy insists that revenge isn't his motivation, he cannot overlook the allure of power that drives him. He aims to rectify past mistakes and demonstrate his worth, but it's likely that his efforts will backfire spectacularly. Aristotle has assured Billy that he will take care of Victor Newman, and whatever consequences arise from this plot. Aristotle's influence allows Billy to maintain his innocence while plotting to regain the chancellor position. making it clear how he has ensnared Billy in his complex scheme. It's only a matter of time before Jack unleashes his fury upon discovering Billy's true intentions. Jack will eventually uncover the truth about Billy's partnership with Aristotle and recognize that Abbott Communications isn't genuinely his brother's priority. At some point, Jack will have the opportunity to confront Billy for aligning himself with the unreliable Aristotle and the multitude of risks that come with his investment. Additionally, there's the issue of Billy deceiving others about his fresh start, pretending that his thirst for revenge is a thing of the past. Jack is likely to feel deceived and will certainly caution Billy about the potential pitfalls he's heading towards. From Jack's perspective, he worries that Billy might incite Victor's wrath and ultimately fail to secure Chancellor in the process. Given that Aristotle has a reputation for not fulfilling his commitments, Jack might believe that Billy's partnership could lead to trouble, leaving him with nothing in the end. Regardless of the situation, Jack will soon receive some startling news about Billy and will respond accordingly. Upcoming spoilers for the CBS soap indicate that the feud between Billy and Jack will reignite, so keep an eye out for what's next. The Young and the Restless spoilers indicate that Jack Abbott needs some advice, and it looks like he is going to turn to Victoria Newman for advice. Victoria is a very successful woman, and she knows about dealing with certain people. Will Victoria be able to help Jack get her father to back off of Kyle Abbott and Claire Newman? Jack believes that Kyle and Claire have a good things going. However, Victor is doing his best to keep them apart. Victor doesn't want Kyle to be with another one of his granddaughters. Victor believes that Kyle is weak, and he sees Jack the same way. Victor does not believe that any Abbott is good enough to be with a Newman. Jack knows how much trouble she and Billy Abbott had during their relationships. Victor is still coming after Billy to this day. Jack believes that Victoria might be able to give her daughter some tips on how to work around her grandfather. Nikki Newman is already on board with this plan. Summer Newman has been playing up to Kyle and trying to come between Kyle and Claire. Summer wasn't with Kyle when he and Claire started dating. Kyle had to hire Claire to be his nanny without Summer's approval, even though she was her cousin. Now, Summer is jealous of what Claire and Kyle have. Victor has suggested that Summer and Kyle should be together, and she is happy to fall into her grandfather's plan. After all, Claire siding with her mother was what broke them up. Summer wants a chance to make it right. Summer also wants Claire away from Kyle and their son. Summer is simply jealous of Claire. Victoria wants her daughter to be happy, and Claire is happy with Kyle, and Victoria is happy for her. Victoria doesn't want her father interfering either. However, Victoria doesn't like going against her father either. Will Victoria follow her mother's lead and join forces with Jack? Can they pull this off without Victor figuring out what is going on? Victoria knows what lengths that Victor has gone to keep her and Billy apart. Victoria knows what stunts her father might pull to cause them problems in their relationship. Will Kyle and Claire manage to keep their relationship together right under Victor's nose? Will Victor end up breaking them up in the end? Come here for all things I and R. Check back often for the Young and the Restless news, spoilers, and updates. The Young and the Restless recap for Tuesday, April 1. Reveals Billy Abbott will warn that Adam Newman is a monster after Chelsea Lawson's reunion brings outrage. At Crimson Lights, Chelsea will bump into Billy and let him know that she's become a couple again with Adam. Billy will insist that this is a terrible mistake and will accuse Adam of manipulating Chelsea into reuniting with him. Although Chelsea will defend the changes she's seen in Adam and note that they've all moved on, Billy will still feel like she deserves better. At Society on Tuesday's I and R episode, Adam will give Sally Spectra updates on his reunion with Chelsea, so she'll assume Connor Newman must be thrilled. Sally will suggest it's bittersweet thinking about the what-ifs of her own relationship with Adam, so he'll suspect she's not as happy with Billy as she's letting on. Adam will believe Sally deserves better than Billy, but she'll defend her romance and make it clear that they should all just move forward. After Adam meets up with Chelsea at home, they'll compare notes on their encounters with their exes. Chelsea will wish that Billy could see how Adam has grown, but Adam won't think Billy's stance is ever going to change. Once Sally meets up with Billy back at his place, they'll also exchange news on their earlier ex-run-ins. Although Billy will clarify that he no longer has romantic feelings for Chelsea, he still won't approve of her reuniting with Adam. Billy will rant about Adam being the same monster he's always been, so Sally will object to him, implying she fell for Adam's manipulation too. Although Sally will want to help Billy move past all his anger toward Adam and Victor Newman, she'll make a prediction about him perhaps not being capable of that. At Nate Hastings' apartment, Amy Lewis will refuse to rest until she gets the truth. Damian Kane will finally explain that there was a disagreement based on Lily Winter's bad intel. Amy will grow concerned about Lily continuing to investigate Damian, and Damian will suggest that Nate doesn't seem to fully trust him either. After Damian mentions Audra Charles using her history to pump Holden Novak for information, Amy will find out that Holden and Audra used to know each other back in Los Angeles. Although Amy will worry about more secrets coming out, especially dangerous ones involving Damian, he'll reassure her and send her back up to rest. Since Nate will assume Victor Newman is Lily's source, he'll wonder who's passing along false info to make Damian look bad, and what their motive might be. The Young and the Restless spoilers say more shockers will unravel as this storyline moves along, so stay tuned. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that there are 3 ways Kyle Abbott's engagement ring for Claire could cause chaos. A marriage offer for Claire Newman could lead to more problems, so let's consider how things might play out. Although Kyle isn't sure he's quite at the love stage with Claire, he's definitely heading in that direction. It probably won't be long until Kyle's indeed ready to profess his love, which could lead to him proposing marriage too. It's easy to imagine Kyle deciding he should make a bold move to shut down the naysayers, namely Victor Newman and Summer Newman. However, is a marriage proposal really the right call? Kyle could be playing with fire if he tries to take this leap with Claire, so let's discuss how his potential engagement ring could bring more drama. 1. Claire worries it's too soon and questions Kyle's motives. For starters, Claire might pump the brakes and worry it's too soon for a step this huge. It could also leave Claire questioning Kyle's motives and wondering if he's truly ready to marry her. Claire might fear that Kyle is only popping the question to prove something to Victor and Summer. Perhaps Claire could doubt that Kyle's commitment runs deep enough to go all in on a marriage together. In other words, Kyle could rock the boat with Claire if he proposes, so that alone could be a factor in their romance falling apart. 2. Victor steps up his efforts to blow up Claire and Kyle's relationship. Although Victor promised Claire that he wouldn't do anything to sabotage her relationship with Kyle, he might change his mind if Kyle locks in an engagement. If Kyle manages to convince Claire to tie the knot, Victor may end up determined to stop the wedding. I and our fans know Victor isn't someone who just backs down when he wants something. At the moment, what Victor wants is for Claire and Kyle to split up, and he'll want that even more if an engagement happens. 3. Summer goes wild over Kyle and Claire's next step. Summer could also go off the rails if Claire and Kyle end up engaged down the road. That's the kind of thing that could really push Summer over the edge and cause her to take her scheming to the next level. Summer's jealousy could erupt more than ever before, so she might make it her mission to derail this engagement. Maybe Summer and Victor could even team up on shutting down Kyle and Claire's wedding plans. Whatever the case, Claire is trying to cling to all the happy predictions she's made about the path she's on with Kyle. Unfortunately, Claire and Kyle's bliss could take a wrong turn, especially if a marriage proposal leads to catastrophe. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Kyle and Claire's romance will come with more disastrous news and other roadblocks along the way, so stay tuned for updates on all the messes. On the March 31 episode of The Young and the Restless, Victoria told Claire that there used to be a truce between Jack and Victor that fell apart when Jack dared save Victor's wife. This back and forth has been going on for 4 decades now, but we know of a person who could put an end to it, once and for all. Victor wouldn't be here today if it weren't for a heart transplant he received in 2009. That heart came from a brain-dead Colleen Carlton, daughter of Tracy and Brad. Colleen drowned after she was poisoned by Jack's insane ex-wife, Patty. Victor brought her to town to torment Jack, so Colleen's death was partially Victor's fault. And yet, when given the choice to say no, Tracy still went ahead and gave the son of a bitch her precious baby girl's heart. Yes, Tracy is a saint. Everybody knows that. But that was still pretty extreme. More. Find out what happened on Y and R today. Victor is always grateful for his family. Is he ever grateful for the Abbott family? You know, the one that's responsible for him still being alive. What would Victor do if Tracy came to him and said, "Yo, Vic, listen up. Remember how you got my daughter killed, and I still let you have her heart because I am an angel brought down to earth to save the rest of you idiots. How about you return the favor by laying off my brother? Oh, and while we're at it, lay off my nephew too." Kyle and Claire's relationship is going to implode eventually any day now, just like it did with your other granddaughter. So give it a rest, or else I'll reach into your chest and pull out Colleen's heart with my bare hands, a la Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. It's the least you owe me. The Young and the Restless spoilers and updates tease that the rivalry between Billy Abbott and his brother Jack Abbott is on the verge of escalating dramatically. Get updates on the latest news about The Young and the Restless straight to your inbox. Billy is on the brink of making significant errors that could jeopardize his bond with Jack when the reality is revealed. Let's see what could happen when it is. Fans of Y and R are well aware that Jack and Billy have faced numerous challenges in their relationship over the years, but currently they are in a good place. Jack is convinced that Billy has made significant progress, leading him to express confidence in his brother and share hopeful forecasts for the future. However, Jack's support goes beyond mere words of encouragement. He has also made a substantial financial investment in Abbott Communications, demonstrating his commitment to Billy's success in multiple ways. From Jack's viewpoint, Billy is embarking on a new chapter, focusing on positive endeavors rather than seeking revenge against the Newmans. This is why Jack holds onto the hope that Billy has turned his life around and is destined to achieve remarkable feats. Regrettably, Billy is an individual who consistently manages to derail his own success. It's hard to believe this tendency will change anytime soon, especially now that he's entangled in a clandestine arrangement with Aristotle Dumas. While Billy insists that revenge isn't his motivation, he cannot overlook the allure of power that drives him. He aims to rectify past mistakes and demonstrate his worth, but it's likely that his efforts will backfire spectacularly. Aristotle has assured Billy that he will take care of Victor Newman, and whatever consequences arise from this plot. Aristotle's influence allows Billy to maintain his innocence while plotting to regain the chancellor position, making it clear how he has ensnared Billy in his complex scheme. It's only a matter of time before Jack unleashes his fury upon discovering Billy's true intentions. Jack will eventually uncover the truth about Billy's partnership with Aristotle and recognize that Abbott Communications isn't genuinely his brother's priority. At some point, Jack will have the opportunity to confront Billy for aligning himself with the unreliable Aristotle and the multitude of risks that come with his investment. Additionally, there's the issue of Billy deceiving others about his fresh start, pretending that his thirst for revenge is a thing of the past. Jack is likely to feel deceived and will certainly caution Billy about the potential pitfalls he's heading towards. From Jack's perspective, he worries that Billy might incite Victor's wrath and ultimately fail to secure Chancellor in the process. Given that Aristotle has a reputation for not fulfilling his commitments, Jack might believe that Billy's partnership could lead to trouble, leaving him with nothing in the end. Regardless of the situation, Jack will soon receive some startling news about Billy and will respond accordingly. Upcoming spoilers for the CBS soap indicate that the feud between Billy and Jack will reignite, so keep an eye out for what's next. Be sure to catch up on everything happening with Y and R right now. Come back here often for the Young and the Restless spoilers, news, and updates. The Young and the Restless spoilers update for Tuesday, April 1, reveals that Billy Abbott will get some bad news while Adam Newman pushes Sally Spectra too far. Nate Hastings will also take a risk, so let's discuss what's coming up in Genoa City. Victor Newman supplied Lily Winters with deceptive intel and made her even more suspicious of Damien Kane's secret agenda, but Damien will continue to defend his innocence. Since Damien and Nate have actually been starting to connect as siblings, Amy Lewis will hope they can stay on track. Damien will assure Nate that his heart's in the right place, so Nate may take a risk by trusting him despite Lily's concerns. Meanwhile, Chelsea Lawson will give Billy updates on her decision to lock in a reunion with Adam. Billy obviously won't be happy about that and may insist Chelsea's signing up for more heartbreak. However, Chelsea is entitled to make her own romantic choices, even if Billy feels like she's making a mistake. Billy will have to respect boundaries and understand that Chelsea can do whatever she wants. While Billy reacts to Chelsea's relationship developments, Sally should have a chance to do the same at society. That's where Adam and Sally will have a tense interaction on Tuesday's I and R episode. Sally was honestly expecting Adam and Chelsea's reunion anyway, so she may not have much of a reaction. Chelsea and Adam's next chapter was inevitable from Sally's perspective, so she'll probably keep things polite and offer some well wishes. That said, there'll still be some opportunities for conflict in Tuesday's show. Adam and Billy remain enemies, so he may make some troubling predictions about Billy's imminent business disaster and set Sally off. Sally is already on edge over Billy's alliance with Aristotle Dumas, so listening to Adam's negativity will add to her concerns. That should give Sally a reason to lash out, so she'll blast Adam once he pushes one button too many. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Billy could be headed for catastrophe thanks to his Aristotle partnership, so stick with the CBS soap. The Young and the Restless spoilers indicate that Jack Abbott needs some advice, and it looks like he is going to turn to Victoria Newman for advice. Victoria is a very successful woman, and she knows about dealing with certain people. Will Victoria be able to help Jack get her father to back off of Kyle Abbott and Claire Newman? Jack believes that Kyle and Claire have a good things going. However, Victor is doing his best to keep them apart. Victor doesn't want Kyle to be with another one of his granddaughters. Victor believes that Kyle is weak, and he sees Jack the same way. Victor does not believe that any Abbott is good enough to be with a Newman. Jack knows how much trouble she and Billy Abbott had during their relationships. Victor is still coming after Billy to this day. Jack believes that Victoria might be able to give her daughter some tips on how to work around her grandfather. Nikki Newman is already on board with this plan. Summer Newman has been playing up to Kyle and trying to come between Kyle and Claire. Summer wasn't with Kyle when he and Claire started dating. Kyle had to hire Claire to be his nanny without Summer's approval, even though she was her cousin. Now Summer is jealous of what Claire and Kyle have. Victor has suggested that Summer and Kyle should be together, and she is happy to fall into her grandfather's plan. After all, Claire siding with her mother was what broke them up. Summer wants a chance to make it right. Summer also wants Claire away from Kyle and their son. Summer is simply jealous of Claire. Victoria wants her daughter to be happy, and Claire is happy with Kyle, and Victoria is happy for her. Victoria doesn't want her father interfering either. However, Victoria doesn't like going against her father either. Will Victoria follow her mother's lead and join forces with Jack? Can they pull this off without Victor figuring out what is going on? Victoria knows what lengths that Victor has gone to keep her and Billy apart. Victoria knows what stunts her father might pull to cause them problems in their relationship. Will Kyle and Claire manage to keep their relationship together right under Victor's nose? Will Victor end up breaking them up in the end? The Young and the Restless Spoilers Shock Tuesday full episodes, April 1st, 2025 update in the frenetic undercurrent of Genoa City's ever-twisting drama. Tension was mounting on several fronts as the new week dawned. Chloe's relentless pressure on Sally had set off a chain reaction that threatened to unravel long-held alliances. With the close of episode 6, it was unmistakably clear that both Phyllis Summers and Sally were seething over Billy Abbott's decision to cooperate with the enigmatic Aristotle Dees, a man whose shadowy presence had now intruded into the Abbott camp. Earlier that evening, in a sleek conference room at the Abbott estate, Billy had tried desperately to make his case, leaning forward with earnest intensity. He explained to Phyllis the rationale behind his actions. Dumas offered me a plan, a way to steer Chancellor away from the Newman dynasty. I couldn't refuse it. This isn't just about business, it's about preserving our future. Billy's words were laced with conviction as he recounted how Dumas's proposal was not an invitation to a dangerous game, but rather a strategic maneuver. To his credit, he even promised that he would settle old scores with Victor quietly behind the scenes, insisting he had already moved past their bitter history and would not stoop to the manipulative tactics of the past. Yet, as Billy's explanation unfolded, Phyllis's frustration steadily grew. Her brow furrowed and her voice edged with anger. "Billy," she snapped, "how can I trust you when you keep twisting the truth? One minute you say you're out of those petty games, and the next you're dancing with someone who wields secrets like weapons." Phyllis's skepticism was not unfounded. Both she and Sally felt betrayed, believing that Billy had deceived them, not only about his intentions, but also about the real stakes involved. Their shared discontent was palpable. Two powerful women united in their disillusionment over a man who had promised more than he could deliver. Away from the glare of the Abbott household, in a quiet, dimly lit corner of a private lounge, Nikki had arranged a clandestine meeting with Victor. With furtive glances and hushed tones, she warned him of a growing threat. "Dumas is inching ever closer to the Winters family, Victor. There's something you need to know," Nikki confided, her voice trembling with a mix of urgency and trepidation. "Dumas isn't just a business player. He's a predator who could very well be targeting our loved ones." Victor's steely gaze hardened as he absorbed the news. His long-standing rivalry with Dees was legendary, and this new information only deepened his resolve to confront an adversary who had been lurking in the shadows for far too long. Meanwhile, across town, another mystery was beginning to take shape. Lily, along with Divin Hamilton and Nate Hastings, had been quietly questioning the sudden arrival of Damon Kane. Rumors swirled that Damien was not simply a visitor, but might in fact be orchestrating a far more sinister enterprise. "Why is Damon suddenly at the helm of these companies?" Devin questioned during a tense conversation, his tone laced with suspicion. "These firms, if you look closely, are assets belonging to Dees," Nate added. "It's as if he's been quietly handed the reins of a hidden empire." The trio's conjecture echoed the growing paranoia that the powerful Aristotle Dees was not working in isolation. Instead, his influence might be seeping into every corner of Genoa City's corporate world. The intricate rivalry between Victor and Dees had long been a cornerstone of the city's underworld, and new clues suggested that the conflict was far from over. Upcoming revelations were poised to expose that Lily's vitriolic remarks about Damien were not entirely her own. They might have been influenced by selective information fed to her by none other than Mustache, a shadowy figure whose loyalty and motives were as murky as the deals he brokered. Mustache had hinted at dire secrets in half-truths, leaving Lily to wonder whether the damning evidence she'd been given was the product of his own agenda or simply a misinterpretation of the facts. The simmering conflict reached a boiling point one stormy evening when Lily finally confronted Damien in a secluded corner of a downtown cafe. With eyes ablaze and voice tremulous with anger, she demanded, "Damon, I need to know what the hell are you and your boss D's really up to? Are you running these companies on your own accord, or are you just another pawn in his game?" Her tone was accusatory, each word a challenge that reverberated with both personal betrayal and professional disillusionment. Damon's calm demeanor wavered for a split second before he replied, "Lily, believe me, there's more to this than what meets the eye. Everything is not as it seems." But his vague reassurance did little to calm her fury. Was her discovery based on her own investigative instincts, or was it simply the product of Victor's covert warnings? The uncertainty gnawed at her, leaving her questioning the veracity of everything she'd been told. The conversation between Lily and Damien took on the cadence of a chess match. Each probing question and guarded response added another layer to a puzzle that threatened to upend established alliances. Lily pressed, "Mustache didn't tell me everything. He left out key details, so I need to hear it from you. Are you in league with D's, or are you working to protect us from him?" Damon hesitated, his eyes reflecting the internal battle between loyalty to his mysterious employer and his own buried sense of honor. "I can't reveal all I know," he murmured, "but trust that I'm doing what I believe is right for everyone involved." His cryptic reply only fueled Lily's suspicions further. Back at the Abbott estate, the fallout of Billy's earlier conversation with Phyllis was rippling through the halls. Sally, still reeling from the deception, now found herself caught in a web of conflicting loyalties. Chloe's earlier pressure had pushed Sally to confront her own doubts about whether cooperating with D's was a calculated risk or a fatal misstep. As she mulled over the events of the past few days, Sally couldn't shake the feeling that they were all hurtling toward an inevitable confrontation. "We trusted Billy," she thought bitterly, "and now we're left with nothing but half-truths and broken promises." The tension was palpable, as if every whispered secret and furtive glance was a harbinger of further betrayal. In a moment of rare vulnerability, Billy himself reflected on the consequences of his choices. Alone in his study, he stared at the documents and contracts that outlined Dumas's shadowy plan to separate Chancellor from the Newman clan. "I did what I had to do," he reassured himself, though the lie tasted bitter on his tongue. Deep down, he knew that by siding with Dumas, he had risked not only his own reputation, but also the trust of the two most influential women in his life. With every word he had uttered to justify his actions, he had sown seeds of doubt that now threatened to grow into a full-blown rebellion against his authority. As the days passed and the drama intensified, the interlaced fate of these characters began to converge toward an explosive climax. Victor and Dumas's age-old feud provided a stark backdrop to the personal vendettas that were being played out in boardrooms, back alleys, and intimate cafes alike. Lily's confrontation with Damien was set against a tide of revelations that promised to shake the foundations of Genoa City's power structure. And in the midst of it all, Mustache's selective disclosures left everyone questioning who was truly in control. The man pulling the strings from behind the scenes, or the very figures who had long been at the center of this labyrinthine drama. In this volatile landscape, every alliance was temporary, and every promise precarious. With Chloe's relentless pressure on Sally, the simmering discontent of Phyllis and Sally over Billy's secretive pact with Dumas, and the dangerous implications of Damien's involvement in Dumas's empire, It was clear that the coming weeks would test loyalties like never before. As Lily's voice rose in anger and accusation, demanding answers from a man who remained frustratingly opaque about his true intentions, the city braced itself for the inevitable fallout. What remained uncertain was whether the damning revelations and fractured alliances would lead to redemption or ruin. With secrets poised to burst forth from the shadows and old rivalries reigniting with renewed ferocity, every character in Genoa City was left to wonder, in a world where truth is manipulated at every turn, who among them could truly claim to be the master of their own destiny? The stage was set, and as the next chapter of this tangled saga approached, one thing was clear: trust, once broken, is a rare commodity in Genoa City. And with every lie, every half-truth, and every secret kept in the dark, the threat of complete upheaval loomed ever larger, promising to upend not just individual lives, but the very legacy of the families that had defined this city for generations. This narrative captures the growing tensions and dangerous lines between Chloe, Sally, Phyllis, Billy, and the others, while weaving in the mystery of Aristotle Dumas's schemes, the long-standing feud between Victor and Dees, and the volatile confrontations that are about to reshape alliances. The intricate interplay of personal betrayal, corporate intrigue, and shadowy secrets ensures that every character's next move will be watched with bated breath as the truth slowly emerges from the murky depths of deception. Over the weekend, a sparkling celebration brought together several members of the Newman clan, a rare moment of unity in a family known for its tangled loyalties. Nikki found herself reluctantly swept up in the festivities alongside Victor, Nick, and Victoria Newman, all gathered to toast the long-awaited reunion of Adam Newman and Chelsea Lawson. Despite her long-held reservations about Adam, Nikki couldn't help but notice that he seemed more candid, more on target than ever before, a fact that, much to her chagrin, lent him a certain unexpected credibility. In the midst of clinking glasses and cheerful banter, the atmosphere was a delicate balance of old rivalries softened by the lure of fresh beginnings. Victor, ever the charismatic patriarch, led the toast with his usual suave assurance, while Nick and Victoria added their own enthusiastic support. Yet, even as the celebratory spirit filled the room, Nikki's thoughts wandered. She wasn't a devoted fan of Adam. His reputation had always been a complicated mix of brilliance and backstabbing. But tonight, his demeanor hinted at a transformation that demanded a grudging respect. Still, the celebration was only a brief respite from the chaos that invariably followed the Newman family. No sooner had the toasts ended than Nikki's evening was unexpectedly cut short. Her closest friend, Lauren Fenmore, reached out with an urgency that couldn't be ignored. In the aftermath of the recent GCAC saga, the two women had found quiet solace in shared lunches and whispered confidences. Now, Lauren's voice, laced with both pain and determination, drew Nikki away from the mart. Their plans for a long, leisurely Monday were abruptly postponed as Lauren insisted on a private meeting, a conversation that promised to shift the course of Nikki's world. Later that week, in a subdued corner of an upscale cafe, Lauren's sorrow and frustration were unmistakable. The pain in her eyes betrayed years of personal struggle, years of watching the forces of deception and betrayal tear apart the lives of those she cared about. With an intensity that belied her gentle tone, Lauren began to lay bare her reasoning. "Nikki," she said softly yet firmly, "I need you to understand something about Victor. It isn't just about the usual power plays or family rivalries. It's deeper than that." Lauren's words carried an undercurrent of urgency, a plea for Nikki's loyalty in a battle that had grown too dangerous to ignore. Lauren's request was as shocking as it was unsettling. She needed Nikki to turn her back on her husband, Victor, to betray the man who, for all his charm and commanding presence, had become the architect of a scheme that threatened to bring ruin upon those around him. The target of this dangerous plot was none other than Michael Baldwin, who had found himself ensnared in one of Victor's elaborate conspiracies. A conspiracy designed to obliterate Jack Abbott once and for all. Lauren's revelation painted a stark picture. Victor, with his calculated moves and hidden agendas, was orchestrating a plan that could very well decimate the Abbott legacy. For Nikki, the notion of betraying Victor was a bitter pill to swallow. Her life had been defined by the constant balancing act between loyalty and self-preservation, a dance she had perfected over years of navigating the treacherous currents of Genoa City. But Lauren's plea struck a chord deep within her. The pain in Lauren's voice, the palpable hurt that had been building ever since the collapse of GCAC, made it clear that this wasn't just another political maneuver or fleeting moment of personal vendetta. This was personal, and the ramifications of an action could be catastrophic. Lauren pressed on, her eyes filled with a mixture of desperation and resolve. Victor is the reason I need you, Nikki. He's the one who's been manipulating every move, dragging Michael Baldwin into his schemes to take down Jack. You know as well as I do that nothing in this town is ever as it seems. I'm asking you to see it for yourself, to recognize that your loyalty to him is putting us all in danger. The gravity of Lauren's words hung in the air, each syllable loaded with the weight of unspoken history and the promise of future betrayals. Nikki listened, torn between her love for Victor and the undeniable evidence of his calculated cruelty. The celebration earlier that weekend, a night of clinking glasses and fleeting smiles, now felt like a distant memory, overshadowed by the impending storm that Lauren's revelations heralded. Was Victor truly capable of orchestrating such a far-reaching plot against his own family? And more importantly, could Nikki muster the strength to confront the man she once trusted implicitly? In that moment, the lines between friend and foe, loyalty and betrayal, blurred dangerously. Nikki's heart ached at the thought of turning against Victor, yet the alternatives were equally harrowing. She knew that Lauren wasn't making these accusations lightly. There was sincerity behind every word, a raw vulnerability that spoke of the countless times Victor's machinations had hurt those around her. The betrayal, if it came to pass, would not be an impulsive act of defiance, but a calculated decision born from a profound understanding of the stakes at hand. As their conversation drew to a close, the implications were clear. The celebration of Adam and Chelsea's reunion had been a temporary illusion, a brief moment of light before the long, dark night of revelations and retribution. Lauren's plea was a call to arms, a desperate bid for Nikki to realign her loyalties and step away from the man who had long mastered the art of deception. The task ahead was daunting, to expose and dismantle Victor's web of conspiracies, beginning with his sinister plot against Michael Baldwin and Jack Abbott. The weight of the decision loomed large over Nikki as she left the cafe, her mind a tumult of conflicting emotions. The vibrant energy of the Newman celebration, the bittersweet acknowledgement of Adam's newfound transparency, and the painful urgency of Lauren's words converged into a single piercing truth. In the cutthroat world of Genoa City, trust was a fragile commodity, and the cost of betrayal could be the very downfall of the family she once believed in. Now, as the new week beckoned, Nikki was faced with a crossroads. Would she heed Lauren's desperate call to betray Victor, a betrayal that could shatter her world, or would she cling to the remnants of loyalty and hope that had defined her life thus far? The answer, wrapped in layers of uncertainty and personal sacrifice, would not only determine her own fate, but could very well set the course for the battle lines in a war that had been silently raging for years.